It is 12:59. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans will host the Houston Texans on Saturday, a Christmas Eve game day, as the Titans look to end a 4-game losing skid. Likely will have to do it without Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. Multiple reports yesterday stating Tannehill is likely done for the season with that ankle injury. Jim Wyatt just a couple of minutes ago saying Ryan Tannehill was not spotted at practice. Also not spotted, Nate Davis, Christian Fulton, Ben Jones, Terrence Mitchell, Dylan Cole, and defensive back Josh Thompson, Traylon Burks, Zach Cunningham, Danico Autry, and Trey Avery all spotted practicing again. Mike Vrabel will let us know in a matter of moments who will not be available for the Titans on Saturday afternoon. Thursday Night Football is in New York. The Jaguars visit the Jets. They are on the Titans' heels in the AFC South race, currently one game back at 6-8. Kickoff tonight is at 7:15. You can hear the Westwood One call right here on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. It is a Thursday. Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone. Week a little bit accelerated for the Tennessee Titans. We'll call it a Friday. I don't know if that necessarily means that's a Friday for you and your work purposes. If you want to get up and out of your chair and go home, go ahead. It's a Christmas weekend. Titans will be off tomorrow, at least going through a walkthrough before Saturday's kickoff at noon against the Houston Texans. Lucas Panzica in again for Mickey Ryan. Titans great Keith Bullock in again for Blaine Bishop. Keith, first of all, hey, good to have you again.
I'm in the house, you know.
What's it like on these weeks where you have a short week technically, but not by much? It's not one of those Thursday night turnarounds, but it's a Saturday. So how much of an adjustment is that when game day is just pushed up by a day?
It's not much of an adjustment. I think you did a great job of, explaining to the listeners that in the football world, would you say it's a Friday, right? So that's how it would generally work for us. Even dating to college, when you might have a Thursday night game, the coach always makes you know and aware that, your week changes based upon what you have to do for work. So like you're saying, you're playing on a Saturday. Technically today for the team as players, it would be mentally a Friday because you're doing what you would do on a Friday. And then tomorrow is the day before the game. So you're doing what you would do typically on a Saturday, on a Friday. So you just the coaches approach their meeting accordingly. They change the day within the building for the players and everybody around. So your schedule is mentally adjusted.
So I guess the more difficult adjustment would be what comes after Saturday, right? Because the Titans got to turn around and play Thursday night football against the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. To turn. Well, I'm sure most teams will have to do it on Sunday, so it's not as bad as that. So at least they kind of get the extra day that they didn't get. I believe the last time they played on Thursday, was it a Monday Thursday or was it a Sunday Thursday?
When the Titans last played on Thursday? Yeah, it went from Sunday to Thursday in Green Bay against the Packers.
So that was a quick turnaround too. So this is a little bit better. At least they get to get that day off on Sunday.
Well, they're the only. I'll have to check and see when the Cowboys exactly play this weekend because the Titans, when you think about it, are on back-to-back short weeks here, which isn't great for a team as banged up as the Tennessee Titans, second in the league. I'm sorry, in amount of players on injured reserve. So you have a short week. Not by much, but it's a short week preparing for this game against Houston. And as I look it up, the Dallas Cowboys do play on Saturday. So the Titans and Cowboys both with back-to-back short weeks here around the holidays. But I don't know. Does that not knock you out of your routine? Or at this point, if you're a veteran, you're probably kind of used to making those adjustments?
Yeah, it's just a little bit more on the body. It's not so much about the routine at this point. I would just say at this point, it's more that you played a lot of football. It's been a long season. And those that aren't on that injury list, they're hurt too. They're just not having to be in the training room every day and to get treatment and all the things that put you on the injury report. Some guys are probably just toughing it out, or maybe are not injured to the extent where they have to go to see the trainer. So everybody's hurt at this point. So I think having the not necessarily the routine, I think the rest part of the equation is what's most important for the players in order to get their bodies back the best that they can on a short turnaround.
Well, Mike Vrabel will tell us here in a matter of minutes who will not be available on Saturday against Houston. Here's what we do know. Jim Wyatt 9 minutes ago tweeting the players that are not spotted at practice for the Titans at St. Thomas Sports Park. Nate Davis, Christian Fulton, Ben Jones, Terrence Mitchell, Dylan Cole, and Josh Thompson. So that's two of your starting offensive linemen. That's obviously Christian Fulton, your number one corner, and Ryan Tannehill, who, as reported yesterday by multiple outlets, Paul Kaharski, Joe Rexrode, Buck came in here and said he heard the same thing from the people he spoke to. Ryan Tannehill likely done for the season with that ankle injury. So, KB, it looks like we assumed this would happen on Saturday at least, that it would be Malik Willis starting for the Titans, given that they signed Joshua Dobbs to the active roster yesterday. But it's looking more and more like it's the Malik Willis show down the stretch here these last three games.
Yeah, and as you're reading that, listen to you speak and read the injury report and hearing Tannehill might be on the shelf for the year. It's crazy. A month ago, this team was one of the hottest teams in football, and then now you're sitting here, they still control their own destiny when it comes to a playoff position. They're actually ahead in the AFC South, and it just kind of speaks to a team that isn't going to make the playoff. It speaks to really like a 5-8 team. Not much. Not much has been made of the season, but I know that these guys have a lot of football left, and a win this weekend changes everything. But it just really, really, really sounds bleak on the outside looking in. And of course, I'm privy to know that for the most part, the players don't really give a damn what people are saying on the outside. So there's a whole nother conversation going on within that locker room with the coaches, players, and everything. And I think that, the interviews that I saw and that we played here yesterday of Kevin Byard, sounding more confident in the team and knowing that, it's never as bad as it is when you lose. There's some bad things, but then you can go see some things that are correctable. I just feel that, I'm looking forward to see the product on Saturday, because then that'll just tell us a lot about the next two games.
It's an interesting spot they're in because while the injury issue is as bad as it has been all year, I mean, obviously last year it was right up there, and they've somehow continued this rate of injuries. But at the same time, they're getting some really key guys back this week, it would seem. Like Zach Cunningham back at practice, Danico Autry, Trey Avery, all practicing today, and Treylon Burks, who hasn't played since the Philadelphia game, looks like he is trending towards playing on Saturday. So just those three alone, and Danico Autry, Treylon Burks, and Zach Cunningham, how much of a boost does that give guys around them when they come back into the fold and you see them practicing around you again, understanding what they mean to this football team?
Well, yeah, definitely Danico Autry and Zach Cunningham on the defensive side of the ball. Those are two guys that when the defense was really, really clicking, played a big role, especially Danico up front. Now, Treylon Burks coming in, just got to see how they're going to get him into the game plan. It's always a question with the offense. What type of game plan are they going to utilize? And I feel like it can be – even with Malik, you kind of get Derrick Henry going. Obviously, that's the bread and butter. And then you scheme up a couple of deep passes. And, obviously, you got to connect on those. But those are the ones that you would like to think that they're running every day in practice, at least 5, 6. These are the plays we're going to. This is what we're going to come to in a third and long situation in the third quarter. This is the play we're going to come to when we get in our second and short situation. These, because that's how practices go. You practice these scenarios, you practice these situations. I would just like to think you're practicing the ones that the situations you would like to see the most more often.
Be interesting. It'll be the first time we see Treylon Burks and Malik Willis on the field together in a regular season game, the two rookies on the offensive side.
And that could make for, we like you're saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, yeah, you're good.
we don't even know what kind of chemistry they have. Usually when you have two young guys coming in, they're both on the second string together. They're both on or the third string, and they're both the two dominant guys on the team on those second strings. So they're gonna go to each other left and all the time. I would think Malik is always going to Chig when he was out there and they were just on the second team. He's always going to Traylon when they're on the second team during camp and OTAs, because at the end of the day, I know they talk about it in the way they see it. They see themselves as the future. So that'd be great if, that chemistry, we can see if it is there at all. I think we'll see a lot and learn a lot about Malik Willis moving forward and quite possibly his future here with the Titans.
Mike Vrabel meeting with the media now. I don't think we don't have a link to this. I don't think this is being streamed, right, Jackson? But we will hear.
No feed. He doesn't do that.
Right.
He does it
no,
like
not
on
on
the field.
Doesn't happen on Fridays. Today, like we said, technically a Friday as far as the Titans calendar goes with the Saturday game. So he'll tell us here in a few moments who will be missing on Saturday. And coming up, Chelsa Messinger will join us, give us the best bets for this game, Titans-Texans, for the AFC South playoff picture. Because there's a big game tonight, KB, in New York.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Jags-Jets at 7:15. That feels like it has potential to be a good football game.
I mean, it will be. You have two 7-7 teams, I believe. They both have stuff.
Jags 6-8.
6-8. Well, they both have Jets 7-7. There's something on the line. They're playing for something. Anytime, regardless the record, anytime you're in December and you're playing for something, it's really fun. And to be playing meaningful games in December is very rare.
When we come back, we'll tell you exactly who we know the Titans will be missing on Saturday, straight from the words of Mike Vrabel. We'll get to the best bets of the NFL weekend with Chelsa Messinger. All that and more. Lucas Panzika, Keith Bullock filling in on Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone.
How many nasty waiting rooms have you walked into while waiting on your vehicle repair? It's like you don't want to sit down or touch anything because there's grease all over the place. Well, at Eurofix, you'll find luxurious waiting rooms with all the internet connectivity and refreshments you need in a safe environment. And Eurofix fixes everything European with an ASE certified technician. And not all repair shops have ASE certified techs, so you better watch out and make sure you have an ASE certified technician work on your European vehicle. And Eurofix offers a nationwide 3-year or 36,000-mile warranty on all repairs and a free loaner card with those repairs. And you'll like this: no surprises. No work is done without your approval. And Eurofix also offers a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection, and you can drop in with no appointment necessary. A former youth pastor and starting out with just $50 in tools, owner Aaron Stokes and his team have been repairing European vehicles for over 2 decades now. So if you want the best to work on your European vehicle, all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, Monday through Friday. Or you can just visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But I was telling Blaine that you.
Mike Vrabel has spoken, and he has ruled out several Titans players for the noon kickoff on Christmas Eve Saturday against the Houston Texans. Welcome in, Lucas Panzica alongside Keith Bullock, holding it down until 3 o'clock on 104.5 The Zone. Won't make you wait any longer. Here's who Vrabel ruled out. I'm reading this from the Twitter of Teron Davenport. Ryan Tannehill reported yesterday he is likely done for the season. He is ruled out for Saturday's game. Looks like it will be Malik Willis starting at quarterback. Also out on Saturday, Christian Fulton, linebacker Dylan Cole, defensive back Josh Thompson, cornerback Terrence Mitchell, and offensive lineman Nate Davis and Ben Jones. So, Keith Bullock, we kind of braced ourselves for Ryan Tannehill not being available on Saturday, but how do the rest of those names hit you that will not be playing against the Texans?
Those are all key guys. Those are guys that are going to help you win. Those are guys that you would not like to see on will not play list, on an injury list that they're not going to be out there for you on Sunday because you need those guys to win. But at the same time, it's as cliche as it is, man, next man up. A lot of people are getting opportunities in the NFL right now that they typically wouldn't get. And the way I look at it is you're on a playoff team. This is for the guys that are going to have to step up and get those reps. I heard you mention Dylan Cole. I remember a few weeks ago, and then he was out there. He's been out there all year.
Yeah.
And he's been in the NFL for about 5 or 6 years. And, I think what people have to understand when teams get injuries, so you lose a David Long Jr. or Zach Cunningham earlier in the year, or however it works, or Monty Rice. So you have to use one of your players that's a positional player that doesn't typically get those positional reps. So, where they're a star special teams player, and then they're forced to be put in situations where they're playing, 50 snaps, and they're used to maybe playing 6 to 7 snaps. That's what, that's the results you're going to see. And that's what's been happening with the Titans. And I just used Dylan Cole because I heard his name, and I remember that. I know the efforts that he gives. He's a hard player. He goes out there, but you can only do what you can do. And, sometimes people are just better than you. And I feel like the Titans are having to rely on players that wouldn't typically be in the roles that they're being called upon. And, they're patching it together. So that's why on Saturday and in these games, they can't do things that get them, let's say, offensively behind the chains. Like we can't have false starts on first down. So now you're at 1st and 20. Defensively, you can't do things that are going to give the opposing offense, the Houston Texans offense, free yardage and things of that nature. So in a game like this and in these situations where you're missing key players, you have to play really sound football. You have to really, really, really be on point. And now you're just kind of trying to tread water as long as you can until you get some of those guys back that are going to help you play. And, hopefully this is the start of this playoff push. You got to look at it like that. I mean, I'm not playing, so it don't matter how I look at it, but I know that's how I would be looking at it.
So with that information, who we know will not be available on Saturday, we bring in Chelsa Messinger to tell us how to make some money on this game, maybe some other games around the NFL weekend. She joins us each and every Thursday, host of The Daily Tip at Chelsa Messinger on Twitter, joins us on 104.5 The Zone. Chelsa, good afternoon. Hope you've gotten all your Christmas shopping done. Any last-minute shopping that still needs to be done for you in these next couple of days?
Oh, no. Have you seen the lines at Opry Mills? I am not braving that line or those crowds. So, no, everything is done, ready to roll.
So I don't know what the over-under would be on attendance at Nissan Stadium. I know that that's not exactly something that you guys operate in, but I'm going to be curious in if those type of Opry Mills crowds are going to translate to what's going to be, single-digit weather, probably a record low at Nissan Stadium on Saturday. How much does that impact lines, do you think? We've learned about who's not going to play for the Titans on Saturday. We've known about the weather for a while. How much does that impact over-unders, player props, in your estimation?
Yeah, we see it in the lines. It's built in because we see these totals this week, and it's 37 tonight, 32.5 for the Saints and Browns, which I believe is the lowest total we've seen posted this year. 35.5 for the Titans Texans, and also I think there's one more. 35.5 for Falcons and Ravens. But here's the thing about weather. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it's cold. It's not going to be fun to get tackled. But the thing that affects the totals the most is the wind. And we'll see it with the games in Chicago and the games in Cleveland. Both of those totals extremely low because of the wind. If you watch that, I think it was the Eagles-Bears game, early on the wind was truly affecting both passers as we saw some interceptions from both Jalen Hurts and I think Justin Fields as well. So it's not really the cold. It's not really the snow. It's the wind that affects these games the most when it comes to the totals. So if you see, cold weather or snow in the forecast, it's not as much of an indicator. We saw it with that Bills and Dolphins game. That was pretty high scoring. So it's the wind, not the precipitation.
Chelsa, how does it, like in a game like last week when you have, obviously Minnesota, you think that they're going to walk the Colts, and then the Colts blow a 33-point lead, and games such as of those nature. How, like, I'm not a gambler, so as a gambler, how do you approach? Like, what's the approach for the novice gambler when he sees sure things, but they're not necessarily sure things? Because in gambling, there's no such thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who have been betting for a long time, we see those lines and we see the way that they move, and you think to yourself, in that game in particular, the line was moving towards the Colts. The Colts looked god-awful, in their past games before that, just got blown out by the Cowboys, but for some reason, it went from 4.5 to 4. So you think to yourself, the Vikings are a great team. They have all these wins, but if you look at the Vikings, they hadn't blown out anybody. In fact, only one of their wins this season out of 11 wins have come by more than a touchdown. First game of the season against the Packers. So there's teams like that kind of look like they're better than they are on paper. And it's not even about winning games outright. It's about covering numbers. We've seen the Texans cover some big spreads. So it's built into the handicap. Just because these teams are absolutely dreadful does not mean you should never bet on them.
So, Chelsa, we know now for sure that Ryan Tannehill will not play on Saturday. It looks as if the Titans are still the favorite over Houston, 3-point favorite from what I'm looking at. How has that impacted how you would play this game, now knowing that it's probably going to be Malik Willis starting at quarterback?
Yeah, it's tough. I think the Titans are a really hard team to handicap because their defense is so good. And it just seems like when it looks the bleakest, that's when they actually cover numbers. But it should be noted that they're a favorite in this situation. Usually I think the Titans are a pretty solid play when they're getting points. And we've seen that with Mike Vrabel, one of the best coaches against the number when getting points. But it is a short number. And I will say, you guys probably don't need to be told this, Derrick Henry has had massive games against the Texans. And at this point, against a Texans defense that's the worst defense in the entire NFL against the run, maybe just run the ball every single time. Do a triple option offense with Malik Willis. And in fact, they at least kept it close and covered that number against the Chiefs, despite Malik Willis only completing 5 passes in that game against the Chiefs. So I think the better play is to stick to Derrick Henry props. We know he's going to get the touches. He's had at least 200 rushing yards in each of the last 4 matchups against the Texans with at least 2 touchdowns. I just looked. Derrick Henry anytime touchdown right now, only minus 155, a pretty good bargain, if you ask me, for a guy that's usually in the end zone. I think it's that price as opposed to like minus 220, minus 225, where it usually sits, because this game is such a low total where touchdowns probably are not going to be coming very often. But Derrick Henry is the guy to ride in the game this weekend.
So let's talk about Jets-Jags tonight. That's very interesting. You got a 6-8 Jags team that's streaking there pretty hot. The Jets are having a great – I'm a New Yorker, so the Jets are having a great season at 7-7, and they're both playing for something tonight.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see this line move towards the Jets. It opened at 1, where the Jets were only favored by 1 point. And now we see the Jets sitting at 2.5-point favorites. So it looks like some money has come in on the home team here. I'm not, great on trusting Zach Wilson, but if there's ever a spot for him to open up the passing game, it's against this Jags secondary that, if I'm remembering correctly, actually allowed a ton of yards to Ryan Tannehill, who normally does not put up a ton of yards through the air. Jags 29th against the pass when it comes to their defense. And Zach Wilson, he does a lot of things that kind of make you shake your head, but he at least has a cannon for an arm, can get the ball down the field. I think the play I like the most is Garrett Wilson, the rookie receiver for the Jets, going over his receiving prop, 55.5 yards, -115 over at BetMGM. He's hit this number in 4 straight games with a low of 78, coming off a game in which he recorded at least 90 receiving yards. And he's had some big games. He's the deep ball threat for Zach Wilson. Doesn't seem to matter who the quarterback is. He's an athletic guy, probably going to win Rookie of the Year on the offensive side of the ball in the NFL. So I would trust Garrett Wilson the most of anything in that game.
Nice. I need to take advantage of your time and get some more of this knowledge. So here's a question. I told you I'm a novice. So what determines the lines and what causes them to continuously move? That might be, I really don't know.
Yeah, a lot of it is injuries. You'll see these lines move significantly with the injuries. We saw it with the Eagles game, with the news that it's not going to be Jalen Hurts, it's going to be Gardner Minshew, and also how the money is coming. And sometimes it's sharp action, which are like respected groups, and sometimes it's just big money. We see this a lot with Lions bets. A good example is Dan Campbell, Coach of the Year. We saw this huge bet come in on Dan Campbell to win Coach of the Year, and he went from like 25-1 all the way down to like 4-1, where he's the second favorite behind Sirianni of the Eagles. So some of it is based on injuries, and some of it is based on where the money is flowing. So the books are kind of covering their backs in case, that result actually happens.
Gotcha.
How have you seen this number kind of evolve over the last few weeks as far as favorite to win the AFC South?
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of love come in for the Jags. And I was looking at this number. I think there were only plus 125 to win the AFC South, which kind of seems like a little short. Not a ton of respect for the Titans out there, but that's usually the case when it comes to Tennessee. They're not usually a fan favorite when it comes to backing them in the futures market. We see it every year. It's always the Colts. Everybody always wants to jump on the Colts bandwagon. They're always the favorites entering the year. So the Titans are not a team that's well-backed in the betting world, maybe because we're more of a small market. I don't know. But there is a lot of love coming in for the Jags. And I'm not going to lie, as a Titans fan, I am a little nervous.
Chelsa Messinger with us on 104.5 The Zone. Chelsa, it is a stacked Christmas Eve slate, a ton of games happening. Of course, you have the 3 going on Christmas Day. What's your favorite game when you look at something that people should be flocking to make some money, we'll say on Christmas Eve?
Yeah, I like a couple player props on Christmas Eve. Looking at the Bears and the Bills game, got to keep taking Justin Fields over his rushing prop. It's been set in the 70s each and every week, and he's hit it just about every single week. I don't know if you've seen the highlights of Justin Fields running the ball. It doesn't matter the defense. It doesn't matter that the Bills have a great defense. He's hitting this number each and every week, it seems, because he's the only source of offense for the Chicago Bears. And you know what? He's pretty tough to tackle. So looking at Justin Fields' rushing prop, and also the Seahawks and Chiefs game, Travis Kelce, we all know he's a great tight end, but an excellent matchup this week against the Seahawks, who give up the 3rd most receiving yards to tight ends. Just gave up 93 to George Kittle of the Niners. Earlier in the season, gave up 179 to TJ Hawkinson, the tight end for the Lions. So look for, just forgot his name, Travis Kelce, to have a huge game for the Chiefs in that game against the Seahawks.
What's the best way for a novice gambler to determine prop bets? What should the keys to look for?
Yeah, I think you look at the matchup, and also maybe some guys that are on the rise that the books haven't caught up just yet. Chig, the tight end for the Titans, he's a guy that's been hitting some of his props pretty routinely. And here's where you can make more money if you are very in tune to a certain team. Say you're a Titans fan, you watch every single game, you notice somebody that's not like a brand name person that seems to be having these big games. Those are the guys you should be targeting. Not these spreads, not these totals, the very specific bets where, especially if you're covering the Titans every week, you should have more information than probably the books themselves. So I think the more specific you are in some of your bets, that's when you actually have the edge.
Chelsa Messinger with us on 104.5 The Zone. Chelsa, thanks so much for the time. Hope you make some money this weekend. Hope you enjoy the holiday, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, have a great holiday season. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you as always. Chelsa Messinger with us on 104.5 The Zone. Follow her on Twitter at Chelsa Messinger, Messinger, host of The Daily Tip. So, Derrick Henry touchdown. What Chelsa likes for the Titans game on Saturday. I think history would say that's probably a pretty decent bet against these Houston Texans, KB.
Yeah, I would take that. I'm not much of a gambler. I dibble and dabble, but it was very interesting to hear how, first of all, I never understood how these lines keep moving, but it makes plenty sense. And then the prop bets are something new. That's probably something I'd be more into, because you're betting on the individual, like you just said. Derrick Henry scored a touchdown, $20. Okay, cool. And then, all right, I might get with that.
Obviously, it's going to be a patchwork offensive line for the Titans that Henry will be running behind, but this Texans defense has allowed 167 rush yards per game. You heard Chelsa say it. That is the worst mark in the league. It has been almost all season, but with the offensive line, and again, if you're just joining us, we heard from Mike Vrabel. Ryan Tannehill is out on Saturday. Christian Fulton, Dylan Cole, and two starters on the offensive line, both Ben Jones and Nate Davis, out on Saturday. So it's an interesting situation here for Malik Willis, KB, because he, has kind of a better assortment of weapons around him than he has had in any of his previous starts, just for the fact that he'll have Treylon Burks on the field with him for the first time, and Chig, the way he's come along this season, and Robert Woods will be out there, Nick Westbrook-Akina. But at the same time, it will be by far the worst situation he's played behind as far as the offensive line goes.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like, but I don't think that's going to be in the back of Malik's mind, and that's just how players are kind of, wired. You're going out there with what you have, and everybody has a job to do, and everyone expects each other to do their job to the best of their ability. And a lot of that stuff, you might have to improvise and do things on the fly, but everyone is confident in everyone that they're going to do their job. It's not like, oh, man, this guy's playing linebacker this week, man. We're going to get – you know what I'm saying? Because we all practice. We all get prepared. You understand that this person might not be the starter, but, you can prepare to go out there and have a great game. And, preparation is key, knowing what they're trying to do to you.
But at the same time, how conscientious do you have to be of that if a guy that you are needing to be in direct communication with throughout the entire game is maybe not a guy that you're used to playing next to? Like Malik Willis will be playing with Aaron Brewer at center for the first time.
Right. So, they're working on that relationship right now, probably as we speak. I've definitely been in games before where – man, look, we're playing the Chargers, and I make the defensive call, and the linebacker next to me is asking me what he does, what he does. We're playing LaDainian Tomlinson, MVP LaDainian Tomlinson year, and Phillip Rivers is calling the cadence, and the linebacker right next to me is asking me, I cannot make this up, what he does. I'm like, what? Said Hut. LT 30, it's just crazy. So that's what I'm saying. There are levels of preparation, and I think that when it comes to the quarterback and center, they're definitely going to be on point.
Well, especially when that guy is a rookie.
Yeah.
Right? And Willis would probably be the guy looking to someone else versus the other way around.
Yeah, and it seems as if Ryan Tannehill's been great with Malik as far as when Ryan hasn't been playing. He's been the mentor that everyone tried to make it out that he wouldn't be in the beginning when he first got drafted. And also, it's important for Malik to, talk with the coaches, talk with his quarterback coach, talk with his offensive coordinator. Understand what they are wanting from him, what exactly they're wanting from him. Obviously, he has to go out there and play and be a football player, man. Sometimes you got to improvise. Sometimes you got to make it happen. And it's not always going to be as they call it, but the name of the game is make plays and win.
What's going through your mind when you're looking at LaDainian Tomlinson and Phillip Rivers on the other side of the line of scrimmage, and the guy next to you is asking you where he needs to be?
That's just bad football, man. That's just helplessness, you
Yeah.
know, because you know what type of game it's going to be. Like, you're in the game with players that they have no business being in the game, one, and then two, they didn't prepare. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you're like, it's really helpless. It's like if, your producer who's not, that's filling in didn't prepare. Like you can't go back there and do that for him and then jump on them. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you're kind of, that's the show. That's what you're going to get. That's the product you're going to get.
What are you trying to say, Keith?
Jackson.
Nah, Jackson, I know you
Side of the
good.
glass.
Jackson, you good money. Relax. I know. I ain't coming at you, big dog.
Well, Derrick Henry's coming at this Texans defense again, and I want to go over some of these numbers on the last 4 times that Henry has played the Houston Texans, because it's one of those things that you've seen it a million times, probably if you're a Titans fan, but I still do a double take every time I look at them because I just don't understand how it's possible, and he's never played the Texans in the conditions that the Titans will play the Texans on Saturday at Nissan Stadium. We'll get into that coming up next. It's Blaine and Mickey with special guest Keith Bullock on 104.5 The Zone.
Cool Ray Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing and Electrical is your place for whole home generators. Cool Ray's Honeywell whole home generators assure your lights stay on throughout Tennessee storms. And you know they have some bad storms. And with the holiday guests, make sure your home stays perfect for all holiday activities, including keeping the holiday lights on. And Cool Ray Comfort Consultants will help design the perfect whole home generator system for your home. Plus, save you up to $1,500 off a Honeywell whole home generator today. So schedule a free whole home generator estimate today by calling Cool Ray Heating, Cooling and Plumbing, and Electrical at 629-600-2665. That's 629-600-2665. Or schedule it online at coolray.com.
So 3 weeks ago, we were all talking about the start of D. Henber. Was going to be the first D. Henber since really 2020 because Derrick Henry didn't get to play in December last season with that foot injury. It hasn't really felt like D. Henber because they haven't been winning. Titans haven't won a game since November 17th, Thursday Night Football in Green Bay. But Derrick Henry has quietly been productive, and he's over 1,300 yards on the year, 12 touchdowns, the league's second lead rusher. Welcome in, if you're just joining us, Blaine and Mickey, Lucas Panzica with you alongside Titans great Keith Bullock. So, KB, you told me before we came back on the air here that you had not yet seen Derrick Henry's numbers against Houston in the last 4 outings, right?
Right.
Like all in one place. So let's go over them as the Titans get ready to host the Houston Texans. In his last 4 games against Houston, Derrick Henry has, going back to 4 games ago against Houston, 32 rushes, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns. 22 rushes, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. 34 rushes, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. And earlier this season, 32 rushes, 219 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, in his last 4 games against the Houston Texans, has 120 rushes for 892 yards, that's 7.5 yards per carry, and 9 touchdowns.
Man, I'll tell you what, Lucas. Somebody, Jackson, get Todd down there on the phone so I could tell him to give this man the damn ball on Saturday. That's the formula. Obviously, that is the formula. And we were just talking off air, like, he's had 100 yards the last few games. Okay, they've been in losing situations. But the key thing that you said to me about those last few games that he's had is the amount of carries that he's had. Right now in December, that 30, I'm liking that 34 and that 32 number. Like those last 2 games against the Houston Texans, let's get right there. 34-32, will be a victory. That's formula for a victory. It might be a tight win, but look, it's Titans football right now. Keep it close and win it in the end. Malik could get it done, but Derrick Henry got to carry the load, and I feel that this game plan needs to be, catered to, let's just say, like Malik is going to start. You know what I'm saying? So we know Malik is more efficient when he's able to get out on the edge. He's using his legs. That's been improvising, but let's get him some boots. Let's get him some rollouts. Let's get him some things that he does well, and that even the younger guys on the team, you figure the skilled players are all rookies. Him, Traylon, and besides Derrick Henry, him, Traylon, and Chig, that's what you got. You got this young offensive line, so he's not going to be able to drop back and hold the ball for 4-5 seconds. Ryan can't even do that with the regular offensive line, you know what I'm saying? So let's get creative. Let's do some things to and I'm not talking about, direct snap Derrick Henry. Let's get creative with this young quarterback, because really this is his audition for next year. Just put it all out there. This is his audition, because within draft and free agency, whoever is going to be the GM or however it goes, they're definitely got to be looking for some type of talent at every single position, not excluding the quarterback position.
In both of Malik Willis' starts this year, Derrick Henry's had good games. First start for Willis was obviously at Houston, where 32 carries, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, like we said. That's the last time this season Henry has gotten 30 or more carries in a game. He had 21 in L.A., but in the 3 games before that, all losses, he had 17 or less. Last time the Titans won, Henry had 28 carries in Green Bay. 87 yards. He didn't light up the stat sheet. He did have that jump pass for a touchdown to Hooper, but he was effective in that game. They had to respect the run game, and things opened up in the passing game for the Titans in Green Bay. But Willis has had that luxury. He's been able to lean on Henry. It was a huge reason why the Titans were in the game in Kansas City.
And I will say, I was at the Houston Texans game. We went to I was down there in Houston, and I really watched closely. And I will say, look, for everything that I just said about who's out there, Malik needs to make his plays. He needs to be able to connect on a 15-yard out route. He needs to be able to hit those crossing routes. He needs to set his feet and deliver the ball. He needs to do those things as a professional NFL quarterback. Like, those are fundamental day one things. If you got the time, set your feet and deliver the ball. Easier said than done on a mic, but I'm not a professional, nor have I ever been a professional quarterback, but that's what's expected of you. So if Malik can complete on those plays that are dialed up, that might be the down the field shots. That might be the, 3rd and 6, for the first down conversion type shots. He needs to play efficient. Just like I said earlier, everyone needs to be on their A game for sure.
How much obviously the coaching staff will have to cater to Malik's strengths, right? And they can't ask him to do a lot of the things they asked Tannehill to do. But with that, from a player perspective and Titans players, how do expectations kind of get calibrated for a guy like Malik Willis?
That's a great question. I know that you lock in. You see your starter isn't going to go, and I feel that it's great that the team has had an opportunity to go to battle with Malik at least 2 games. The Kansas City Chiefs, that's a tough team, and then the Houston Texans, not so tough. Both pretty subpar, lackluster performances. You get the win and you play it close both respective games. But I expect to see, a bigger jump this time because, 1, he's playing the team that he had an opportunity to play against, and 2, his teammates know the type of help that they're going to need. You might have Robert Woods might typically run his out routes at 12. Okay, we got Malik in the game. I might have to come out of my break sooner. I might have to get my head around faster. I might have to chip and hold longer, or I might have to get out in my route faster because of who the quarterback is. We have a rookie in here who's not 100% on everything, so let's figure out how we can help him to be the most efficient offense and not just put it on one player. But it all comes down to definitely the play calling, the scheme, the way you're going to try and attack the defense to make it favorable for your rookie quarterback.
Let's get into that. What we want to see from the Titans rookie quarterback over the course of not only Saturday's game, but potentially down the stretch this season as the Titans try and hang on to that AFC South lead. And we will take your phone call, 615-737-1045. It's Blaine and Mickey with special guest Keith Bullock on 1045 The Zone. An audition for Malik Willis. That is how many are viewing the next few weeks if Ryan Tannehill is indeed out for the season, as has been reported. Willis likely to start on Saturday. As we know, Tannehill will be out. It would be the third start of the season for the rookie. Lucas Panzica with you alongside former Titans All-Pro linebacker Keith Bullock until 3 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone. From what you've seen from Malik in his rookie season, KB, understanding it was always going to be a long road and processing the offense, being able to run it at full capacity, is that fair to you to consider the next 3 weeks as an audition of sorts to find out his potential as a franchise quarterback, or is it still too early for that?
I feel like it's very fair. I don't think that it's unfair. Everyone that gets drafted wants the opportunity to play. Now, you might get in camp or get in your situation and be like, whoa, man, I could use some time, or you just know that you're not ready. But when you get your opportunity, you're going to take it. So, Malik has been preparing to the best of his ability for this moment. And that's why I'm saying I'm curious to see how he goes out and handles it this time compared to the first two times, because obviously you saw some good things in the preseason, but that's might as well have been playing against his same peers that he was playing against in college. Now you get out there against the Kansas City Chiefs and then a struggling Houston Texans team. It's still not easy. It's still the NFL. So let's just see what his learning curve is, because the way I understand it, and when I listened to, Todd Downing speak about Malik's progress yesterday in his interview, he said things such as, working with him on our base package, things such as conversations that we were having 4 and 6 weeks ago are way easier now. Like, it's not like base conversations. They're like developed, inquisitive conversations where Malik is asking more detailed questions, whereas I guess 4 and 6 weeks before he wasn't. So that's telling me he's grasping the offense from the base standpoint, now is ready to make that step. Okay, now I got that. What do I do in this situation? So we'll see a lot of that. We'll see a lot of that. I would like to see him, control the offense, just have control out there as an NFL quarterback, so that's what I'm looking to see.
Does playing the Texans defense for the second time this year allow him to think more freely, I guess would be the way to put it, and just not have to process things as much? Do you think the game could come to him a little more quickly than it would against the defense he's seeing for the first time?
Yeah, I think so, just because the coaches can talk through like those mistakes that he made the first time, what he should have did this. If you get this look this time, let it go. If you do this time, do this. So I think that they could speak to those things and show him actually on film the things that he did against these exact looks, this exact personnel. But, the Texans are playing better. We don't know that Malik didn't leave that game feeling that their defense was better than the Kansas City Chiefs defense. You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily know what he felt, but I know that he plays very confidently. His approach to this game is very confident, and confidence ain't gonna win you games, but it's a start.
Malik Willis spoke with reporters in the Titans locker room just the other day about just that, about playing the Texans defense for the second time this season. Here was the rookie quarterback.
I think the previous experience helped a lot as far as just knowing what it takes and knowing what your routine is going to be in order to prepare. I mean, it's different every week who we play, yeah, but the way you prepare, it's the same mostly. So it's just understanding what it takes and going out there every day. And now I get to get the reps a little bit more. So just going out there and getting better.
And then your first start was against the Texans. The second time around, with how much of a benefit potentially is that if you're the guy?
I think it's a really cool opportunity, and I think it's that at the end of the day, it's an opportunity. So I take it like any other one. I mean, yeah, my first start was against them, but that too much don't matter. It's a little bit in the past. It's about going out there and try to prepare for them this week. And they've been playing hard games against these last few teams they've been playing, and you just got to respect them.
I know your coaches have talked about how much you've improved. How much do you think you've improved over the course of the last couple of months?
I think I got to keep getting better, brother.
Yeah.
Think I got to keep getting better, buddy.
Yeah, hey, don't talk about it, be about it. I like that. It's one thing, I think I improved a lot. I've been doing it. And then you go out there on Saturday, we're going to be like, what?
Yeah.
What, Malik? What are you doing? What are you talking about? So, yeah, I like the fact that he's just, he's humble with it, and he's just going to keep getting better, buddy. But, yeah, that's why I say it is kind of, look, man, this thing is a business. This thing is a business. He goes out there. He plays well. That gives the Tennessee Titans scouting department to see what they need to work on, what he needs to work on, what they have. They know what they have in Ryan. They just got Josh Dobbs. He's probably not going to get any work during the regular season unless Malik gets hurt. He'll maybe be in camp when they start in the spring, but for the most part, Malik is drafted to be the quarterback of the future, and they can find out within the next 3 weeks if he's that guy. Just point blank, period, as these kids say now. You know what I mean? It just is what it is.
I got to give Malik credit. For a rookie, he's really consistent in how he speaks with the media. He always kind of has that same demeanor. He's a positive guy and talks about getting better. And a lot of it is, cliche type stuff. But you just don't always see that from rookies, from guys his age at this level. So I will give him credit for that. But what is a reasonable level of expectation for his improvement? Because you're not going to suddenly see him processing things to the level of Ryan Tannehill, right? That was never going to be the expectation in year one. But what is a reasonable level of expectation to see from Malik over these next few weeks? Like, what kind of improvement do you want to see from Malik Willis?
It's going to be tough for him because even with Ryan Tannehill at the helm of the offense, it was tough for him. The guy couldn't really, he was hampered with his ankle, but he didn't have much time to pass.
And this might be the worst single-game O-line situation that the Titans have had all year.
Right, so this really Malik's talent is going to take him so far, but this really comes down to the game plan that they put in for Malik and the offense to have success against this Texans offense. So it's one of those things. We keep talking about Malik. Oh, you've seen this defense before. Does it help you? Well, coaches, you've seen this defense before. Does it help you to put Malik in a better situation than you put him in last game? And I'm not on this mic saying that they put him in a bad situation last game. That's up to them to decide when they make this game plan if they felt the last game plan was good enough for Malik. Obviously, it was good enough to get the win. Derrick Henry with the 32 carries, 219 yards. But if I'm Lovie Smith, I'm putting 9 in the box. I'm locking up on the outside because none of the wide receivers, scare me. They're going to have to prove it. And I'm stopping Derrick Henry, and I'm making your rookie quarterback beat me. So that would be my defensive game plan, and I would stick with it until the Titans show me something differently on offense. So that's why, you go to the defensive side of the ball. Those dudes just need to be ready to play. They played a great game. They played a good game last week against, San Diego, the Chargers.
I'm still doing that too.
Yeah, they played a good game last week against the Chargers. You know what I mean? So just go out with the confidence that they've always had. And I love the way the defense responds because they really sincerely go by the mantra, it don't matter who's out there, we're going to get the job done. And a real defense, that's all you can do. You can't worry about the guys out there, especially if you have some ballers, and they do have some ballers on that side of the ball on defense to hold it down and play a complete game. But it's really going to come down to the game plan that they put in for Malik, so we're able to see him control the offense. We're able to see him get the offense lined up and, get in and out of the huddle in appropriate time so he can make checks and do the things that he needs to do. I would like to see him command the offense, command and run the offense.
By the way, Texans without a key player on both sides of the ball. Their two best rookies this year, one being Derek Stingley Jr., the corner first-round pick out of LSU. He's out for the year. And Dameon Pierce, the running back, who is enjoying a really nice rookie year. Titans did a good job of limiting him in the first meeting. He will not be available to Houston this coming Saturday. But, KB, you mentioned the Titans' defense and how they were able to kind of hold things down in Los Angeles and needing to do the same, facing quite a drop-off in offensive pedigree in the Houston Texans. So we'll talk about that defense and remind you who the Titans will be missing. Mike Vrabel has informed us who will be out on Saturday, but they do get a couple of guys back. And we'll talk about the impact that they could have against the Houston Texans Saturday, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It's Blaine and Mickey alongside special guest Keith Bullock on 104.5 The Zone.
right, ladies and gents. Santa Barkley is back, and this year he's giving new FanDuel customers exactly what you ask for. How often does that happen in life? Unwrap the gift of a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500 back in free bets when you sign up with the promo code Mickey. That's up to $2,500 back if your first bet doesn't win. So now is the perfect time for you to give FanDuel a shot. The app is easy to use. They're always giving you great promotions. And when you win, you get paid instantly. They've got same game parlays and odds boosts and live betting and all different kinds of promotions you can check out all the time. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Get in the holiday spirit with a no sweat first bet up to $2,500 back in free bets from Santa Barkley when you sign up with the promo code Mickey, M-I-C-K-E-Y. You do have to be 21 or older, present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only refund issued is non-withdrawable free bets. It expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Getting you closer to your Christmas weekend, to your Titans game day, Saturday at noon. Titans and Texans from Nissan Stadium. Lucas Panzica alongside former Titans All-Pro linebacker Keith Bullock with you until 3 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone. Blaine and Mickey be back in the house tomorrow to close out the week. But if you're just joining us, we will recap who we know for sure will not be playing for the Titans on Saturday. Mike Vrabel said it at the top of the 1 o'clock hour, ruling out quarterback Ryan Tannehill, who, according to multiple reports yesterday, is likely done for the year. Cornerback Christian Fulton out on Saturday. Linebacker Dylan Cole. Defensive back Josh Thompson. Defensive back Terrence Mitchell. And 2 starting offensive linemen, Nate Davis and Ben Jones. Taking your phone call, 615-737-1045. Fred is in Smyrna to talk about some Titans injuries. What's up, Fred?
Quick question. I'll make it as quick as I can. Last year, the Titans played more players than any other team in the league. This year, it looks like we're on track to do the same. What's causing that? And second question, for Bullock, did we have this many injuries when he was playing ball for the Titans?
Thanks for the call, Fred.
I'll start with the latter. Lucas and I were talking off the air, and I believe in 05 was a year that either 04 or 05. That was a year Kevin Carter was hurt, Shamari Rowe was hurt, Lance Schulters was hurt, Peter Sermon was hurt. Like, I'm just speaking defensively. Oh, yeah, and that's also the year I believe Billy Volek was our starter for about a good 6 years, the second half of the year. Eddie was on his way out with his toe injury. Derek Mason was hurt. So, yeah, there was a point in time, but that team wasn't in the position that this team was in. That team was, win this week, lose 2 in a row, then win 2 in a row, then lose 1, win 1. I think that team ended up being like a 7-9 team. We weren't in the position like this team was, 4 weeks ago when you only had to win 1 to be in the playoffs. And now, you're looking behind, you're hoping somebody don't catch up to you. So it's a tough situation, but I just feel that team I was on, we were out of it way earlier because our injuries came earlier and we couldn't get any get back. And this team has just been slowly but surely over the last 2 years. But obviously last year they were able to, they had the number 1 seed. So it really didn't matter. And I don't know what attributes to these injuries. It seems like it's a league-wide thing. And I said the other day, I just feel that the amount of preparation before the season starts during the preseason isn't what it used to be, but the preseason system is too new to determine that's what it is. Yeah.
It's one of those things that you just don't have an answer for.
Yeah, I just think that there's not enough data out there yet to say that, the less physical preseasons are attributing to more injuries once the season starts because of the lack of physicality during the offseason. But I'm sure those studies will come out sooner than later.
And it's frustrating because it's completely fair for Titans fans to be looking around like, what in the world is going on?
No, 1,000%.
Right? To want answers that are just hard to find.
I would say, man, ask the guys, ask someone like Kevin Byard, like what keeps him going, what keeps him healthy, what can he contribute to always being able to be out there on the field, be out there and be healthy and be able to go because he doesn't miss too often at all. I can't even remember the last time Kevin Byard was in the lineup.
That's a good question. I'm going to look that up. Derrick Henry's the same way apart from the foot injury last year. That almost never missing games due to injury.
Well, here's something for you, too. How does Derrick Henry work out in the offseason?
Yeah.
We see his workouts. You know what I'm saying? You actually see some of Kevin Byard's workouts and some as well. I'm not saying that all these other people don't work, but
Byard's never missed a game.
Right.
Knock on wood.
What capacity do you work to? Yeah. You know what I mean? Do you just work because you went out there? I did my hour workout, got my sweat in. I got some videos for the gram and TikTok and all that stuff, and then you're hanging out, or are you going back out there you're getting it in?
Maybe you're Gronk and you're just wearing a different T-shirt, changing shirts when you're sending in workouts to the team in a pandemic season.
That's hilarious.
Kevin Byard has started every game the Titans have played since the start of the 2017 season. Well, since the tail end of the 2016 season.
That's awesome.
Jason in Kentucky wants to chime in on 104.5 The Zone. What's up, Jason?
Hey, Lucas. Hey, KB. Man, I missed
Jason.
you, KB, leadership at the linebacker position.
Appreciate you.
One thing we haven't been talking about in a couple of weeks is Kyle Phillips. Where has he been? Or is he just done for the season because he couldn't come back off his IR stint? I'll hang up and let y'all talk.
Thanks for the call, man. Yeah, he's on IR. That's where he's been.
Yeah, you heard a lot about Kyle Phillips in the preseason, and everybody was raving Kyle Phillips. And then you see him in preseason games, and I swear the first time, like he made some plays in the preseason, but the first time I saw him get hit, like he winced. I'm like, man, he's a little frail. And it seemed like every time he got hit, it was like a big hit, like bam. I'm like, whoa, man. So my thing was always, is he going to make it through the season just because of the physicality part? And that's really what got him up out of here. Like, that's really what put him on IR is the physicality of the NFL. So, as far as Kyle Phillips, to me, it's talent on a shelf. You know what I mean? We didn't really get to see what he could be. I think this offseason, he's going to hit the weight room a little bit harder. You know what I'm saying? Bulk up a little bit. Now, sounds like I'm being funny, but, everyone saw like I saw it, like he was taking some hits, and it just seemed as if, needs to get his weight up a little bit.
Obviously had a great camp and then makes a big impact in the season opener. Gets hurt in that game when he's during that late push for a potential game-winning field goal, and he's kind of driven out of bounds into the ground on that left shoulder, injures the shoulder, and really hasn't made much of an impact since. And the thing with Kyle Phillips, too, if you're hoping to get him back this year, Titans have one spot left to take off IR. Kyle Phillips is on injured reserve. Elijah Molden's season, we believe, to be over. David Long is still on injured reserve. If you are the Titans right now, KB, who do you think this team could use more right now, Kyle Phillips or David Long?
Oh, David Long. By Long, you know what you're going to get from David Long. All you have is hope with Kyle Phillips, and, hope floats, but other stuff sinks. So you don't know what you're going to get. So you need David Long Jr. out there. He's a proven leader on your defense, and it brings a lot of speed, more speed to the lineup, and playmaking ability.
You like David Long. I've heard you talk about Long before. You were on with our buddies Austin Huff and Jack Gentry over on Tighten Up Pod. You spoke pretty highly of Long.
Well, you could see the work that he puts in, and I had an opportunity to meet David Long when he was a rookie. I met him with Rashard Evans, just in the offseason, just out and about, and we were just chopping it up, talking ball. And he told me, no, you're going to know who I am. And then so it's like, okay, cool. I hope so. And then you sit around, you watch long enough, and then, you see the work that he puts in. I was like, okay, that's that kid that was at the house. And then he puts in the work, and then you can see, even the start of this year, the first two games, I was definitely on him because of the lack of physicality, the lack of plays being made from the linebacker's position, most especially him, because there are higher expectations. And then, after the Raiders game, you just started to see, I think it was the Washington game, and then you just start to see him making plays, not so much on instinct, but knowing where to be, knowing what the offense was trying to do. So that tells me he's taking his game to the next level, and you can appreciate that.
No Long this weekend. We know that. He's still on injured reserve, but there is help on the way defensively. Zach Cunningham looks like he's trending towards playing on Saturday. Same goes for Danico Autry. How much help can Danico Autry bring to kind of help that load that Jeffrey Simmons is carrying right now on basically one ankle?
Yeah, everybody's, people are on. I heard people on Big Jeff, he's not trying as hard. Or like, he's carrying the load, like you said, on one ankle.
How much have you seen that limit him this year?
Yeah, a lot. You got to remember that D-line was rocking and rolling where you had Danico Autry, you had Tierra Tart, you had all those guys, the Weavers coming in. You had that the Walkers emerging.
Mario Edwards.
Yeah, Edwards. And you had all those things. So, you had a whole slew of pretty much a gumbo of D-line with all those different flavors, and it was all good. So now a lot of those key ingredients are missing, and it's bland. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got the flavor or the swag they used to have. So now you get Danico Autry, and then that's Big Jeff's running mate. Now they're wreaking havoc together. Now it's like you just can't double team me all the time because now you got to worry about Danico, and then they just get their rotation. And so just his presence alone, being out there, being on the field, will help out because now the line can always slide to Jeffrey. That's what they've been doing the last month or so. And you've seen earlier in the year and, even last year, you can't just slide to Big Jeff because when you do, Danico Autry is very, very, very capable of beating the one-on-one and beating the back and, making plays. So that's going to be a huge help for that pass rush that we haven't seen in about 5 weeks.
Ricky on the Facebook chat, where you can hang out with us, by the way, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch on 104.5 The Zone TV. Ricky says, Danico missed 4 games. Titans' record since Danico went down is 0-4. And getting Danico back is huge. So, yeah, last time the Titans won a football game, Danico Autry was on the field. He did get hurt in that game in Green Bay on Thursday Night Football, but there's no question the impact that he's had since being acquired.
Yeah, and just to, finish that thought and to add on, he just brings a level of intensity that's different than what Big Jeff brings. That's different than David Long Jr. brings. That's different than Kevin Byard brings. He's one of those foundational pieces of that defense now, and they miss him, and you can tell.
Well, one of the biggest keys to the Titans staying in the game in Kansas City was the ability to rush 4, right?
Yes.
They were able to consistently drop 8 guys in coverage that entire game because of the battles they were winning up front defensively.
And that's their bread and butter. And over the last 2 years, they have made that their signature. And, for any of the old school Titans fans listening, that's how we used to do it. It was a 4-man rush. You have Javon Kearse, Vanden Bosch, Tony Brown, Jason Jones, Albert Hainsworth, and then you just rotate them. Brandy Starks, Antoine Odom, and you just, that's why I say it's just a mix of great ingredients, and everybody does something different. Obviously, you have your Hainsworth, your Vanden Bosch, and your Javon Kearse, but at the same time, you got your Tony Brown who helps Albert Hainsworth because Tony Brown can beat a one-on-one matchup. You got your Randy Starks that you can't double team Albert because, so those things are kind of similar, a lot of similarities to that old school original Titans that these guys do up front now.
615-737-1045. If you got a question for Keith Bullock, you want to chime in on this Titans game against the Texans, talk about Malik Willis, anything you want to hit on, we go to Doug in Nashville on 104.5 The Zone. What's up, Doug?
Hey, guys, I remember hearing Kevin Byard talk about how his durability, got better because he had changed his diet. He said the occasional steak, he'd gone to fish and vegetables, really got away from chicken, and I know that works because one of my workout guys completely got away from a chain that can give you all the help you need, those 3 letters. And he altered his diet. He went gluten-free, and he had gains like he had never seen before. So when he changed his diet, he said he wasn't hurting as much, and he said he could lift better. He got more flexible. He got stronger. So some of these young guys that don't know that you are what you eat, maybe they need to listen to what Kevin Byard has to say and what he's doing because obviously it's working.
Thanks for the call, Doug.
Yeah, look, nutrition, lifestyle, health, all those things factor in for sure to staying healthy and being able to go out there and maximize your workouts, having the energy to go out there and train and put your, body through the duress that, that you need to put it through before you get into camp. You know what I mean? You can't go into camp, ain't going to make you tired these days. These camps, these kids is going through, it's not. Look, you just show up, you go through the motions, you're going to get through camp. You know what I mean? But back in the day, you had to come in physically ready for camp, mentally ready for camp, and then go through it again with your teammates, with everybody there. So, veterans such as Kevin Byard can be great for young guys to kind of, hey, man, why are you in the cold tub so much? What does this do? Should I be in the hot tub? Why should I stretch before practice? I never stretched before practice, though.
Yet you still go, 7 years without missing a game for
10,
the Titans? 10 years.
But I'm saying my thing, I used to tell my trainer, he'd be like, in the off season, we'll be working out, be a bunch of us guys, NFL guys, we're just talking before we work out and stuff. He's like, hey, Bullock, you got to be stretching. What's up? It's like, hey, man, You ever see a cheetah stretch?
No,
that's what I would hit him with. And then he ain't say nothing else. And it all worked out, you know?
This Tyreek Hill stretch before Dolphins games, asking for a friend. Ollie in Nashville wants to chime in. What's up, Ollie?
What up, KB? Hey, shout out Just Love Coffee, just left there.
Word, appreciate it, Ollie. My man.
What'd you get, Ollie?
Just iced coffee right before this snowstorm comes out here.
There you go.
Word.
What's it called? KB, I got a question for you. Back in the day, y'all did a great job of staying healthy and stuff. Did the team have a dietitian? Like, was there like that around? Because like I'm looking at it, like every successful team in professional sports has a full-time dietitian, has a full-time sports science person these days, and the Titans don't. Like, did y'all have that back in the day?
That's a good question, and some teams do have that. And you know who it was? It was Steve Waterson. Steve Waterson was a pain in the ass when it came to, hey, get your lift, do this, but that was his job. He was the strength coach. He was the nutritionist. He would tell that it would be hard. I didn't know if he was telling the truth or not, but it worked for. He had this friend that is this doctor that was a scientist from Russia named Nikolai. Nikolai told me this, and Nikolai, I promise they got this from the U.S. training facility, whatever it was. Steve Waterson wore all of those hats, and he wore them well. And he was annoying in the sense that he stayed on top of you because obviously he had been in it for so long and knew what it takes. Even the big guys, you know what I'm saying? As far as making sure, so we didn't have a nutritionist, but he's on top of the big guys, making sure they're not overeating, walking by when they're sitting down eating and, making sure they're not hiding something under some food just to get some extra stuff because they got to weigh in and all that stuff. So, I'm being funny, but for annoying as Steve Waterson was, he was our guy that kept us right, and you know what I'm saying, did a great job at wearing all those hats as nutritionist, as strength coach, as the stretcher, as coming up with the remedies when you get hurt, the special stretches. I'm sure they have more now with more people, but he wore all those hats. And if he wasn't able to do it, he would find someone for us. That's for sure. Because I remember my rookie year, I didn't cook it was just a lot. You figuring out, coming home, and then practice is done at 4:30. Then what are you gonna do for dinner? So he hooked us up with a chef that used to cook for Vanderbilt, Magic. I don't know if Magic is still around. And my rookie year, this guy would come and he would bring me my meals for the week. So they were already pre-made. So to what our last caller called and spoke about, I really remember being set on the right nutritional path as a rookie because he cared enough to be like, you guys can't just be eating fast food and all this stuff. We have to put back in our body good nutrients so when we come to practice and the next day. So it was kind of like something I guess in a sense, Waterson definitely took care of us in that sense.
I had a honey bun about 10 minutes ago.
I tell my kids all the time, they be trying to go to school without eating breakfast. It's breakfast is the most important meal of the day. That gives you your brain food that's going to keep you going. Not that I was listening when I was 13 and 15, but I just know better now.
Waterson also had that job for 30 plus years. I don't know enough to know about how rare that type of continuity is in strength and conditioning in the NFL, but I got to think that's not the usual, right?
Yeah,
in this league. That's a long time with the same organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Houston, and if I'm correct, he began with Philly, and then they all came with Buddy Ryan to the Oilers.
Yeah.
But technology is better now. These kids, it's there for them. You know what I mean? It's crazy to me that once upon a time the Titans had full-blown vegans. And, Derek Morgan's wife, Charity, she's a vegan chef, and her cookbook and her meals are incredible. When I run it, I've run into D. Morgan, I'm like, I would eat vegan if I had vegan meals at my disposal every day. But, I'm about 215, 218, 215, 220. You see me in the streets. People still think I'm a little skinny, so I ain't trying to get any smaller. You know what I'm saying?
Chase in Bellevue on 104.5 The Zone. Afternoon, Chase.
Hey, what's up, man? What's up, Lucas? What's up, Keith? I just was calling in to see if you can recall, playing at home in the playoffs or playing at home. Is there an added pressure to please the fans? I mean, we haven't won a playoff game since the Nedney kick at home, and it seems like we're a little more loose on the road. Is there something additional pressure at playing it in Nashville to please the fans that makes it a little bit more difficult to pull out a win? And I just wanted to see if you any recalled about your road versus home playoff kind of mindset.
Well, let's get that in. So let's talk about that. It's a great question, Chase. Thanks for the call. When we come back, I want to hear you talk about that a little more, KB, that pressure of a home playoff game that the Titans have struggled with in recent years. We'll also talk about down the stretch what the AFC South looks like as far as scenarios as the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the road in New York tonight. It's Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone. Titans trying to win down the stretch, stop the bleeding of a 4-game losing skid, and set up potential home playoff game as AFC South champs, and they're beat up. Lucas Panzika, Keith Bullock with you on 104.5 The Zone. 2 starters on the offensive line out on Saturday. Ben Jones out. Nate Davis also confirmed out by Mike Vrabel. So KB, it's looking like a hodgepodge group up front. And as you try to kind of cobble together what that starting 5 is going to look like from left to right, it's as hard to do as it's been all year because no Dylan Radins. He's on injured reserve. You figure Dennis Daly's right back in at left tackle. And without Ben Jones at center, does Aaron Brewer slide in there and allow Corey Levin to get a start at guard? Daniel Munyer, Jordan Ruse, names that the Titans haven't had to, reach into their depth chart for yet this year. Might have to make their debuts this season.
Yeah, and that's how the game goes. These guys have to be ready to play. And, obviously we're just getting the news now, but internally they've been preparing these men to go out there and assume these roles. It's not like it's 2 days before the game and like, oh snap, you're gonna have to go out there and play. So you're gonna get the best 5-6 guys out there, and 5 offensive linemen out there, and that's why I've been saying all day yesterday too as well is that offensive game plan is gonna really help those men that are on the field, just because, like you said, it is kind of a patched together bunch, and you got to do things that they're able to do successfully. You can't just go out there and call things as if you were calling it for a regular Sunday afternoon, Ryan Tannehill at the helm with all the pieces.
We finished the last segment. By the way, Lucas Panzika, Keith Bullock with you. Blaine and Mickey will be back tomorrow on 104.5 The Zone. We finished the last segment with a caller asking you, KB, about the pressure of a home playoff game, something the Titans have struggled with, obviously, in recent years. You'd have, obviously, a much better perspective on it than I would as far as what that mental weight is going in, if the Titans are able to find a way down the stretch here to host a postseason game.
No, for me, there was no pressure. That's what you want. You want to get the home playoff game. I remember the year we went 10-0 and we got the home playoff game against Baltimore. That's what we want, because the previous years we had always played away in the playoff game. And no, there was no pressure going away. I like going away too. I like the atmosphere of the away crowd. Nobody likes you. Everybody, wants their team to win. And I know that I'm going to ball out on them, so there's nothing they can really do when it comes to my game. You know what I'm saying? So I enjoyed that. And then when you come home, if you're playing a home playoff game, that means that you're the favorite. You're the better team. So let's just speak to that moment in 2008 when we played Baltimore at home. We ran the table. We had already beat Baltimore. We finished the year 13-3. We had the bye. And like I said, we tricked it off. We just didn't win. And there was no pressure within that. If you remember that game, Baltimore made more plays than we did. I was telling you, defensively, we played 31 snaps.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? I think we gave up 140 yards on defense, but it's a team game. And, if anyone remembers, I was mad afterwards. You know what I'm saying? But, no, to me personally, there is no pressure. You go out to perform. The pressure is making it to the playoffs throughout the season, winning week in and week out to put your team in a position to get a spot in the playoffs, whether it be home field or not. I think that's the pressure, and that's the hardest part, and that's what's great about this time of the year in the NFL for these teams that have the opportunity in December to play their way in.
Big game tonight in the AFC South race. Jacksonville on a short week heads to New York, taking on the Jets. Zach Wilson, the starter. Mike White is out in this game. Quinnen Williams, Corey Davis, game time decisions, according to Robert Saleh earlier this week. So here are the scenarios as we wrap things up on Blaine and Mickey for the AFC South race. Now, I think we all understand by now the Titans could lose to Houston, could lose to Dallas, and if you win in Jacksonville, you're AFC South champs for the 3rd year in a row, which is a crazy thing, but it's true. If the Jaguars lose tonight, lose to Houston next week, and beat the Titans in the final week of the year, the Titans can still win the AFC South if they just beat Houston or beat Dallas. In that scenario, Titans finish 8-9, Jags would finish 7-10. So really the only way the Titans could win the division without beating Jacksonville is if Jacksonville loses to the Jets and the Texans, and the Titans beat the Texans or the Cowboys. It's a big week in the AFC South race.
Handle your own business. It's the easiest way.
You can hear that game tonight, 7:15 kickoff on Thursday Night Football, the Westwood One call right here on The Zone. And, of course, Titans kicking off at noon on Christmas Eve. We'll be here to talk about it all day tomorrow. 3HL will be here to talk about it in just a few minutes. Keith Bullock, this was fun, man.
Great. I appreciate it. Always fun.
Just Love Coffee in Franklin. Swing by. Get that iced coffee before the temps plummet and stay safe. But for Keith Bullock, for Jackson Williams, our producer, I'm Lucas Panzica saying in the meantime,
in between time, peace.